Where's your vest?
Yeah,
I'm getting the best. I don't like how everyone's copying me.
Yeah, you guys are. You got the well. You know what you're wearing, right? You are wearing the West Michigan Conference administrator's uniform.
In the AD uniform.
If you are an administrator, not just an AD, but if you're an administrator in the West Michigan Conference, you rock the vest. And I believe Pat Collins started that. I think Pat might have brought it in, and then everybody's like,
"Look at Kara's got a vest on."
Kara's got a vest on. I make fun of her all the time when she wears it. That's the mom uniform right there.
The mom uniform.
Yeah, the mom of teenage boys uniform.
It's so weird because I feel like Kara's always on the podcast because like
she's listening.
I can always see.
She's listening, and she comments on it as soon as we.
Welcome back to episode 18 of the CatchMark SportsNet podcast. I'm your host, Zach Swagel, joined here by my co-host, Scott DeCamp, DeVamp.
Do you sleep at all this weekend?
I did, yeah.
I don't believe you.
Just at odd hours, yeah, but I did.
Hot hours, like in the daytime? That makes
a little bit in the daytime,
that makes total sense.
He doesn't sleep.
I was up at 4 working on some CatchMark stuff.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Now it's time to get up and get going.
Unbelievable. And our fearless leader, Brent Rath.
What up?
Today we're joined by the first coach we've ever had on the pod, Whitehall's Christian Subban. Welcome, Christian.
Thanks for having me.
Just a few minutes ago, we were chit-chatting about coaches with the best hair in the West Michigan Conference, and Christian made it known that he is a front runner in that contest for sure.
Is it just the head of hair, or is it head and beard? Is it all?
Oh, it's definitely not beard. Like I've been growing this since like 7th grade. This is all I got. This is it. But the hair on the top, that I gotta be. I'm trying to think.
So who are the top 5 coaches in the conference for hair?
There's no competition.
You got you as number one.
I mean, you got Chuck, right? You got Rick Zulik, right?
Yeah, Rick's. Yeah.
He's got some nice hair for
right.
But
so I'm trying to think of. I mean, what about
Adam
Jensen?
Oh, Adam Jerry for sure.
Adam Jerry's got it. He's right there.
Okay,
Adam's right there.
I might have just
some competition.
Let's say that I just took what I have from him because I coach with him. So let's.
So I mean, you can't throw out silver foxes like a Dave Osborne. He's got. Dave's still got a head of hair.
He does still have.
It's getting a little gray now, but so.
So is Tim Jensen kind of like the Greg Campy of the league
yeah.
with his head of hair?
I wouldn't have put him up there for sure.
Tim's not in the discussion. Huh? That's pretty good.
Kemp's got nice set of hair, I think.
Well, his is more close crop though. It's nothing.
Nothing crazy. Yeah. He just takes care of business up there.
So to have nice hair, does product have to be applied, or is it?
I think it does.
It can't just be natural.
I mean, if it's natural, then
Chuck's
then
all natural.
Yeah, that's true. You go right to the top, then I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
No way.
You're struggling with the hair game.
Yeah. I might go back to the.
He's gonna get mad at me now.
No, my hair's fine.
I watched some ad came up. And I almost forwarded it to you the other day.
Like Keeps, grow your hair back.
That's exactly what it was.
Hey, the LeBron's losing his hair too. You could just say you're LeBron.
I'm the GOAT.
Really? Yeah, that's what it is.
You are the GOAT.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Did you guys see what happened with Juwan Howard yesterday? Let's talk a little basketball.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think that Christian Subban.
You were watching Whitehall basketball.
Hit a little close to home. It was like a forecast. At least I don't know. It's dangerous stuff.
So it's funny because we were watching film yesterday. We got Ludington on Wednesday. We were watching Matt Shepard and I, and he's like, "Coach, I think Juwan just did us a favor." No matter what happened earlier in the season, this looks way worse. Yeah. This looks way worse.
So, I was really what do you think's going to happen to him? I really think they're going to come down hard on him.
Some people are saying fired, but I just can't imagine to be fired. But I'm thinking whatever, let's say the players get 3, I think he's going to get 8.
Yeah,
it's going to be
more. I've heard people breaking up maybe the rest of the season he might have to sit.
At least
I don't
they
know.
turn him.
Firing, man, that seems
That's a
pretty
lot.
extreme. But
Nowadays,
I
though,
don't
like
know.
he laid hands on somebody.
True.
I mean, they're weird. Like,
Plus,
Yeah.
if we're talking about when I was in school, this would be like, hey, Juwan took a shot.
He's back
on to
next
the next
game.
On to the next thing. But like,
Yep.
plus he had the thing with Turgeon last year.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
reminded
That's-
me of that too. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's-
so there's a little bit of a history there.
what about the Wisconsin coach? I mean, he grabbed his arm. Is that bad?
No,
Like,
I mean I think he still gets something.
He'll
but
get
I think
something,
it's
but it'll be
I think
little.
It's different.
yeah,
Like,
I do too.
you throw a punch.
It's different than grabbing somebody's arm and like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Like,
And who knows? It
was it
like,
a punch though? Because everybody's calling it a punch, and it was like
Open hand.
it was like an open-handed.
You go after
It
somebody.
was like a whack-a-mole.
wasn't
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And the only reason, let's be honest, the only reason Juwan got to him is because his arms are 9 feet
And
long.
he's
Like, I mean,
6'10".
he's 6'10".
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, that was
Big
crazy.
dog.
What I didn't watch the game. What was it all about?
Yeah, I didn't either.
He called a time. The Wisconsin coach called a timeout with like 15 seconds left, and he said it was to reset the backcourt clock. I
Well,
guess.
Yeah,
right?
it was like a 15-point game, something like that.
Yeah,
and
it was
the
blowout.
Wisconsin reserves were in. Michigan had 3 reserves and maybe 2 starters, and Michigan was pressing, and they were going to get a 10-second violation.
So they
So
called a timeout.
Wisconsin called a timeout, and Juwan got mad. He thought that was BS that they called a timeout. And guard said, "I called it because you guys were pressing, or because we weren't. We couldn't get the ball across."
right.
Yeah.
And so
Did Juwan just want him to take a turnover? I mean, I don't think any coach in the right mind would be like, "Oh, I'm just going to take a turnover because we're up 15."
Yeah. Every time I watch that, like at the end of games, they're just taking the shot clock violation. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
golly, it's different because you would
Yeah.
never just throw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different.
I don't know. Are there unwritten rules?
I think so.
In the coaching profession, where one coach brings in all his reserves, should you be doing the same? And just
I
all
feel
those
like
should be
if
pressing
the
and-
game's out of control, you shouldn't be pressing. If you're pressing, I feel like that opens up a whole not like you're
Yeah.
still competing. If you drop everybody back, I feel like at that point, then you just run the clock out and you just walk it up, and maybe the timeout's not called for, but yeah, if you're pressing, you're trying to turn them over. I mean, like that's really what you're doing. You're still competing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always been kind of weird with that stuff, though. I'm always
sure.
like compete. Like if you don't like it, stop it.
Right.
You know, you didn't have to be down by 15.
Yeah.
You know,
Correct.
like so.
Yeah.
There's a fine line, right? And I think that can be said about most sports. Man, oh man.
Speaking of rough basketball, look at this guy.
Yeah, my wife hit me in the eye last night. No, Sean Knopp got me at open gym. He thought he poked my eye out, but he just got me in the eye. I didn't even realize I had a shine until the kids were laughing at me.
Yeah,
Owen's
it was-
like, "What'd you do to your eye, Dad?" And I'm like,
What's he
"You were
look
there."
like? If you look like,
Not like
you messed him up.
Sean can go, man. That guy's got a motor.
Sean's like he's like an ex-Marine or something.
Yeah, I'm
He's
old
like,
and fat. He's in shape.
Yeah.
Like no.
He
Sean-
plays hard. I like
Yeah.
Sean.
Sean had a couple casualties yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like they took Dave out a little. Well, Dave first took himself out by almost crushing somebody's like 5-year-old that was under the hoop.
Dude, Dave's so strong. man.
Hurt his back,
Just-
and then
I can't
Put him
believe how
down.
strong he is.
Yeah.
yeah, Dave is a beast. He's
know.
got like paws.
Don't
Yeah,
call
him
him
and-
granite for nothing.
Don't call him
Yeah,
Brandon
right.
for nothing.
Him and Randy are both impressed me. I can't believe how good Randy can
Randy's
shoot.
good, dude. I
mean, he's
hate
good.
saying
He's
that.
huge, right? Like
He's good.
Yeah.
Like Randy would
Shoots it, man.
could legit like he'd be all conference in the West Michigan Conference.
Yeah,
at
oh,
50,
easily.
at
Yeah.
When we
59
ran that-
years old.
Yeah.
No,
When we
he's
ran
not
that
50.
men's league at Whitehall, he played on our team the
Yeah.
first year, and
Randy's
the dude
legit.
can shoot it.
Yeah.
He can, and he's good down low too.
Yeah.
it's funny because he wore a Whitehall Summer League shirt.
Oh, did he?
yesterday.
Yeah, he did have
I
that
remember
on.
looking
Yeah.
at that.
Okay.
Man, Whitehall used to have some legit like leagues too.
Yeah.
I wish they were still around.
Yeah, like
We're
when
gonna be
community
running
ad and
again
stuff.
this
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
that's good. Like
It's fun. It's just fun to play. You know?
It is.
The Babcock used to run a good men's league.
Community ad.
Community ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really really good. I mean, like some really good basketball.
Your dad used to run one too.
Yeah, he ran a couple. He ran
before school, right?
Yeah, and there was like, dude, there'd be like 8 or 10 teams.
And
Like,
it was fun.
Really?
Yeah,
Your dad used to play in it too.
yeah,
Down
yeah.
in
It was like fun back then. Like you could hoop
Warren
every
Z.
day if you wanted to. Like there was always something going on.
Yeah,
I miss that stuff kind of.
yeah. I couldn't do it. I'm gonna be out of the commit. Like
Well,
Connor
back
asked
then
me.
you would.
Then you'd be able to.
I don't know, dude.
If we play
When you're 44,
3, 4, 5
like
times a week.
no, I couldn't play 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'd love to do that, but I just couldn't. My joints couldn't.
You're
take it.
telling me it's not gonna get better the more you play.
When I got in great
It's like, please God, tell me it's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
no, it's not going to
I'm
get better.
so
The other year. When I was probably 38, 39. It was like 5 years ago. I got in great shape. I was 175 pounds. I was exactly I was running every day, but I legitimately could not do what I did when I was like in college.
Yeah.
Like lifting schedule, like in college, it'd be body part, 3 days in a row, day off, I'm right back to it. And you'd hit it twice in the same week. Like it definitely slows down. Like I could run legitimately 3 times a week and that was it. I could lift 3 times a week. I couldn't hit multiple. Like it's just different. So like it's definitely not a desire thing. It's your body just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. I will also say that like basketball, in my opinion, is one of the most challenging, sports or activities physically.
Yeah.
Like comparatively.
It hurts your knees.
It just hurts. Dude, it's a little bit of everything. I was talking to Brian Varela yesterday. It's Maddox's dad. And he was talking about how on average he walks 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And he typically gets between 12 and 15 playing like basketball.
Oh yeah.
On Sunday morning, He said he moves like mile to a mile and a half per game.
Yeah.
Which I could see it. You just don't think about it like that when you're playing. But it really is like it's as good a workout as anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of interesting stuff.
No, I couldn't even come up and hit balls with the kids yesterday. Like in the simulator.
Yeah,
it was just
sore.
I just couldn't turn,
I know.
I don't know.
I feel you. I'm sore too. Dude.
Yeah, you were looking like you were hurt.
Struggling yesterday. Yeah.
Zach kept saying, "Hey, can we play half court?" I think half court's more positional basketball.
I was like, "Come on, come on, we dominate." Because I was on a team with a
bunch of old guys.
Yeah, with old guys for like.
You'd just be passing that thing around perfect.
Well, and it'd be fine if we played half court, but we give up 6 half break points.
You turn it over and like they're running the other way, and you're like, "Yeah,
just bring it back down here." When you guys
we'll check it up down here, because it's just too much running. I don't know. At least until you get in a little bit better shape. Subin, I want to talk a little bit about your personal life, your career, your personal career. Yeah. You graduated from Whitehall in 2010?
Yep, 10.
Sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, that was
a rough conference.
And then you went to Hope College.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the sports you played in high school and the sports you played at Hope College.
So I played football, basketball, and I ran track at Whitehall. And then when I was at Hope, I played receiver at Hope.
Yep.
Yeah, for 3 years.
Yep.
And then my senior year, I did not play.
What was your favorite sport in high school?
In high school, it was definitely basketball.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Like never a question.
Yeah, I mean, I loved football just because of my friends, and I grew up playing. But we grew up playing with the Montague kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that the kids don't get now, which I think is Like it makes sense, but it's kind of crazy because I mean,
you played with White Lake was like
Cody was our quarterback. Dustin. We had all those guys. I mean, we were pretty good.
Yeah,
yeah. So it was fun
for sure. At Hope College, you studied obviously education.
Yep.
And I assume that was at least. From my understanding, is that's when you decided you wanted to coach also. Did you have that passion beforehand? Or what kind of happened?
Yeah, I always thought I wanted to coach, but I actually went to college and I was going to be an anesthesiologist. And I was like, whoa.
Dude, they make bank.
Well, yeah.
You made the wrong choice.
So that was the leading decision. My mother-in-law was like, you can't do things for the money. I was like, well, now I'm like, no, I really enjoy what I do now.
Yeah.
I'm an elementary teacher, so I love it.
Yeah. And you started after college, you started at Hart?
Yep, first year out of college. I graduated in December, so I actually long-termed here at Whitehall, and I did the rounds. I was at Montague a few times, and but then I went to Hart. I was a second grade teacher at Hart actually for 3 years. That was a little low for me, but it was still fun. It was a good experience.
For sure. And you teach what now?
I teach fourth grade.
Fourth grade at Whitehall.
Yep.
You are a saint, buddy.
Yeah.
You gotta have some patience.
Those kids are fun. Like they still like school, and they don't hate their teacher. They like me, right? So, and I end up getting all those kids that were like me. They're just like running around, bouncing off the wall. Like if I start like tossing a ball in the classroom, they're like, "Let's go!" Like they get all into it. So it's fun. Yeah,
that's good.
Interesting stuff.
So, what age group does Biggie teach?
He's got to be right in there too. Maybe like third grade.
He's middle now. He was.
What was he?
He was third, and I think my first year there, he was fifth.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan and I graduated together, and I always when he went into elementary, I'm like, what do these kids think when this he's
great
monster?
He's awesome.
But he's such a good dude.
Is,
like he's,
my middle daughter Josie had
so
him for
good.
a teacher. He was tremendous.
Yeah.
He's just a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
really
Dan's
is.
good dude.
We like Biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He is a funny guy.
Growing up with him, man, you need to ask him about his car in high school. It was pretty epic.
Did he fit in a car in high school?
He did. He had
How?
a big old Marauder, like a yellow. It was like, you should ask him. And he had
big nasty.
He had 6x9s in the back, and he just whenever you saw it, you knew exactly who it was. Like it was, and it was
just
huge.
hitting the ground.
It was just like he was. It was funny. Yeah,
That's funny.
he loved the Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys.
Oh yeah, man.
We might have to have Biggie
Big
on.
Dan. Dan's
Yeah,
a
I
good
like
dude.
that guy. So we left off kind of you started teaching at Hart. Was your goal always to come back to Whitehall? How did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be back here. I was living in North Muskegon at the time and driving to Hart, so that's a haul.
Yeah.
But then Buddy Pops ended up saying that he wanted to be done coaching JV, and Nate called me. He's like, I know you're at Hart, but I had intentions of leaving after that year.
Yeah.
Wherever it was, I was interviewing at North Muskegon. I actually interviewed at Montague too.
Mm-hmm.
And then this job came up, and then I had already signed on to be the JV coach for Nate, and then Whitehall hired me in. But yeah, the intention was always to come back. I didn't know when. I wanted it to be sooner rather than later, so I'm really happy that I got to come back.
That's good.
Yeah, for sure. Talk a little bit about your family. You're married to someone that graduated. Maybe what was it? Is she 2
12.
years?
Yep.
So 2 years younger than you.
Yep.
And you guys currently have one.
Yep, we have a daughter. Her name's Brighton, and she's pregnant right now with
Nice.
another daughter. Yep, I'm just gonna be a girl dad for life.
That's
but
right.
That's all right.
Talk to Chris Dawson about that.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go.
I've got 3 daughters.
yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Scott too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Scott,
so-
is it? So what I hear, their boys are more challenging when they're little, and then
I
they
bet.
get girls are more challenging when they're maybe teenagers.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
then they're
true?
just gonna
I'm
team
finding
up on
that
me.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, Scott's like, that's my life right now.
They're just gonna team up on me. I know it. And I'm just gonna.
I'm so glad I never had daughters because I don't know if I could have ever said no. It's like
Yeah, when they're
I
sad.
watched my dad and he's
Yeah.
like he could tell me no all day.
Yep.
But my sisters, it was like, oh, come, please, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I'm-
cave it to him.
I'm ashamed to say that when we first found out I was a daughter, Sarah and I were both like, oh man. And now, if she.
So what's the age gap? How old's your current?
So my daughter just turned 2 on
so I'm
February
close,
9th.
too.
Yep. So it'll be about 2.5 years.
That's
So
not
she's
bad.
doing July. So, and she gets what she wants. It's already bad. Like
I don't know
That's
if it's the first Montague game this year, maybe.
Yeah.
When Sarah was standing with her in the bleachers on the other side across the court.
Yeah.
And Brighton wasn't having it. She saw you and she wanted you. And the game, there was still game to play yet.
Yep.
And Sarah looks at you. She's like,
I know. Yeah. She's starting to figure. She loves going to the games now, which is ideal.
Yeah, for sure.
But she definitely saw me that day, and it might have even been right at the end of the game. I was trying to do the interview. I had her in my hands, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, I can't hold you." And then I passed her off, and she was not happy. I think you caught it, or Leo.
It was
or
me.
somebody.
It was
Oh,
actually
you?
me, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
she
it
was
was
not happy.
Yeah, it's funny. It's so I never posted that portion of the interview, but I had, we had
Yeah.
that, which
Yeah.
is kind of funny.
Yeah,
should send it to him. It'd be something
I
good, a
should,
good
yeah.
memory.
She
like,
has been in like I was an okay athlete in high school. She has already been in the paper well more than I have as a high
will
school
be.
That's
athlete.
awesome.
Yeah.
She's just there. And I was talking to Sarah about it, and we've got like a little folder started so that's pretty cool that
Yeah,
you
that's
can
awesome.
capture that stuff.
It's so much easier now to document things, right?
So,
Yeah.
So talking about family, I mean, how important is your wife in your ability to coach and do what you do?
Yeah, it would be a non-existent thing, right? And it's funny because Matt Shepard and I were talking about this. I call her after the game. We're hanging out and talking about the game, and she goes home and she put Brighton to bed, and she calls me and she's just going off about the game, and she's talking about 1-3-1 and a 3-2 zone, odd front zone. She's like, well, they were running odd front so you can hit the corners, and Matt's looking at me like,
What?
who is this? And I was
Yeah.
like, it's my wife, and she's like, you better not mess up because she's gonna come at you. And so she is instrumental to what I do. And she just calls herself the team mom. You know, she's always coming around the boys, and the boys all know her, and it's cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. You're lucky in that regard, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's hard. People don't understand how much time is taken.
Especially this year with the 2 sports. Yeah, you know, two varsity sports. That was a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about your team specifically, right? It's only fair that we talk a little bit about Whitehall.
Those Vikings.
Yeah, you are by far the youngest coach in the West Michigan Conference.
Yeah, and
this is also your first year. What are your thoughts on kind of being that young guy and taking over and trying to continue, you know, the job that Nate's done?
Why don't we ask it like you want to? What's it like coaching and being the only non-boomer in the conference?
Right. True. That's exactly it.
Yeah. I feel like it has some benefits. It definitely has some downfalls, right? I have plenty of stuff I can learn, right? Yeah. And I'm learning it on the fly, and you guys see from the difference between the beginning of the year and now, right?
Yeah.
And but I think it has its benefits too. I can relate to the kids a little bit, you know. I kind of have a different outlook on the, you know, everyone says, you know, I don't want to be their friends and stuff. You know, I think there's a hard line to that, because I do want to have them have a great relationship with me, and almost like a friend, right? Because I want them to be able to come to me and talk to me about anything, right? You know, Nate Bully called me yesterday. He's like, Coach, can you come bring me $3? I'm short at Walmart. I'm like, no, I cannot.
What's your number, Christian?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, you know, but then they need to respect you too. So that's the thing everyone always asks me, you know, how's it going with the kids? You know, do they listen to you? Well, yeah, they do, because they know the lines.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm obviously, you know, especially toward the beginning of the year, you just mentioned how you've kind of grown and learned throughout the course of the season. There's a ton of technical fouls and some. I would argue maybe some a lack of sportsmanship in some regard. I think that's kind of fair to say. Talk about how you've handled that for your team, and what kind of growing process that's been for you guys.
Yeah. So I'm not. So I guess it's not. To me, it's not necessarily the lack of sportsmanship. Courtney Kemp and I talk about this a lot, because you know he was younger too. I feel like when he took over, maybe not. Yeah. I mean, he's not that old now, is he?
No. He's in his
so
30s.
You know, I've talked to him a lot about it, and we've got a lot of kids that play extremely hard, and they toe the line for sure. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think there's coaches in the conference that would take those kids. You know, Courtney's got some on his team. I'd take some of them for sure. The technical fouls, that was something that, you know, we had to learn, because, like I said, we got a bunch of football players, and they did similar things in football, right? And they had to learn that when you're on the basketball court, you could hear those things, right?
Yeah.
When you don't have a helmet on or a mouthpiece in, and we're learning and we're adapting. Right?
How about just not saying those things?
Correct. I don't disagree with you at all. You know, I'm not, because I can't tell you that I didn't say things to the refs when I played either. And I'm not saying that it's okay. And even myself, I've had to adapt, you know, what I do.
How
and
you coach.
And it's weird when I kind of stay off the refs more and just more question-based, it seems like we're getting some more calls, right? And because they're not worrying about me or my team, right? And the bottom line is what people need to understand and remember also. These are still 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, right? I'm
gonna challenge you there, because we actually just talked about we just talked about this in one of our tactical meetings, and so I was in the service, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of my pet peeves is these are just kids, because I saw kids in the service do amazing things, but they only did that when the expectation was set and the standards were set, right? And so I think we use that as an excuse sometimes to let things happen. And now I don't think that I think that coaching has come a long way. And I think that for me, I've had to change. I don't think you can be totally authoritative and but at the same time, setting clear lines. The excuse that they're 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, that just doesn't fly with me sometimes. I don't know, Christian. What is your feel on that? They can follow rules.
Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with you there. So, kind of like you said, we have to set clear lines. And, maybe when I came in, I thought I just assumed that the lines were clearly set. and
I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean. So and they were. I'm not saying they weren't.
Right.
Because
but maybe they thought they were going to get a different reaction from you.
From me, right?
Yeah,
so I just kind of tried to just slide right in. I just went into, all right, here's the X's and O's. Here's how we can beat this team, this team, this team. And then I started seeing these things. And here's the other thing. Along with that, losing brings out the worst in people.
Oh, absolutely.
So when we weren't winning at the beginning of the year, they're frustrated because they believed that they could do the things that we're doing, I think, now.
Right.
Right. So again, that's an excuse. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a bailout, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that. But the thing is, everyone wanted to talk about the technicals, but no one wants to talk about the growth, right? Then, they've been getting consistently better, and they've been staying off the refs.
Well,
we've set a clear expectation now of what it looks like when you get a technical foul at Whitehall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have all, at least in this podcast, acknowledged the growth. Like I think you guys have gotten.
That's kind of where the question
better.
from.
Yeah,
you
guys
have
gotten
have made progress. Talk about what that looked like, because I think there was some serious concern at the beginning of the year. I think, like I said, I think it's fair.
About it.
No, we could see it, and you could see your guys starting to take on their roles.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, accept the roles.
Yes.
Someone like a Boley, who maybe a game or two early in the year he's looking to jack shots. And now he gets his offense when he can, but he's looking to be that lockdown guy, for instance.
Yeah, and he is. He's
Correct.
tough.
Yeah,
and I know obviously bringing Cam back helps things a lot, but I think it's more than that. I think you guys started playing a lot harder and a lot more together.
Yeah, and that's like you said, establishing roles and what they needed to do and how they needed to do it. Because we've got some good players on our team.
Yeah,
Red Watson's a 3-year varsity player. So and for him to take a step back and say, Cam's kind of the man, right? He's the guy on our team. That takes a lot of mental capacity. Also, down 18, down 13, coming back and scratching and clawing, that takes a lot of mental capacity too.
Yep.
Yeah, your teams always play hard.
Yeah,
tough.
I don't think anybody.
Yeah,
no. And I understand what you're coming from.
So, what do you want Whitehall basketball to be known for? I mean, what do you want your culture to look like?
So first and foremost, I want them to say I had a positive experience, right? Because this person outside, I don't really look at that. I'm first and foremost all about the kids of Whitehall.
Okay.
So whatever that looks like to the outsider, I hope they see, because I don't feel like that I'm a bad person, right? And I don't feel like my kids are bad people. And I want them to love what they had when they had it. And I want them to possibly want to come back and give back like I wanted to, right? I had a positive experience, and I felt like those coaches helped shape me into who I am and got me to where I am, because I wouldn't be without them. And then secondly, like you said, I want to be known for when we play Whitehall, if you don't come ready and you don't play hard, you're going to be in for it, right? Because that's what we can control. I talk about things we can control all the time. You can't control if you shoot well all the time.
Yep.
You can't control how the refs officiate, right? And we're getting better at that, myself included. But we always can control, did we play hard today? Did they leave the gym and say, holy cow, they play hard? Because if we do that, then I think we did our job. Yeah. And the wins and losses will take care of themselves if we continue to play hard.
I felt like you guys have always, effort and attitude is what I'm always talking to kids about. And talking to our team like here about too, but I always feel like you guys have the effort. So I think you're doing a good job there. The attitude part is where I think that's where I've seen the most growth from your kids from start to now. And whatever you've done has hopefully kind of fixed that, and they got them moving in the right direction. That's also the hardest,
absolutely.
Those are the two hardest things to do. The X's and O's sometimes are easy. It's those other things that are.
Well, you're breaking years worth of things, and people expected it to happen in a day, right? And sure, let's say, like you said, the military style, right? Yeah. I go and say, all right, let's do push-ups or let's run miles. Yeah. Okay, I mean, we can do that, right? But then what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every team, every kid, every community is different, right? Like, got to find what motivates your kids, and
each kid is different.
Yeah.
And you're right. I thought it was important that it is easy for everything to be great when you're winning.
Absolutely.
You really find out about character when you're losing, when you have that adversity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when you really find out where that growth's coming from.
Right, and that's where it was nice to see early on, actually, just because we found out immediately some deficiencies we have in our ability to handle. Because the thing is, like, if we want to go do things past, winning a conference, and because we have a goal of winning a district title, right? there's going to be adversity, whether it be a bad call.
Oh, the whole time. That's all. It's all about adversity,
correct?
Right? Like
so,
tournament really
and
is,
I think we're continuing to get better at that. I mean, I think even our last game showed that. I think we had some adversity early, and we clawed back, and I felt like we did it the right way. And I think others would tell you that we're there as well.
You look at the standings right now. You look at where you guys are at, and you guys are one win away from clinching a share of the conference title. You win 2. Obviously, you'll have it outright.
Yep.
Depending on what happens in the other games. But you look at a team like Oak Ridge that's down there a ways, but they're playing about as well as anybody right now, right? I mean, the way they came out and played against you guys the other night, how much of it was them and how much of it was maybe the way you guys came out?
Can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
How many did Weaver have?
22.
Yeah. Thanks,
impressive.
Christian. Zach and I had a little argument earlier in the week. So
yeah, but I'm going to give credit to Oak Ridge for sure because they came out and they punched us in the mouth right away. That's one of the things we kind of break and say that we want to do to other teams, and they did it to us right off the bat.
Yeah.
They did it to Ravenna on Tuesday too. Yeah. They jumped on right away,
and
but Ravenna never got back into it. Climbed within 10 or 8, but you guys were actually right in it. Had a chance to win it.
Yeah, we missed some shots early too that I would say that were good shots for us, and I think Tracy would say the same thing. But I don't want to make it sound like we lost the game or this, that, because they took it from us. We talked to our team about taking things that we want to take from people, and they took it from us. And that's all credit to them. They are playing well, and the thing is, they're playing like everyone thought they would, or in my opinion, I
had them in the top 2 or 3 in the conference.
Yeah, I
right?
had them in Montague too.
Yep,
I had them both those teams right up in the mix, and then so shortly after you guys lost that game, you got some good news.
Yeah,
Mason County Central knocked off Ravenna. So we're still there.
You
alone.
lucky dog.
Yeah, that is lucky.
You better be calling Tim and
Tim wasn't there. Tim wasn't even there.
No. You better be calling Will Shy and the MCC Spartans and being like, "Thank you, boys."
Yeah, Ravenna had some tough luck. It sounds like I was talking to Kemp, and it was they got some injury and some sickness, and it was tough.
Yeah, May and BB were out, I think.
Both of them?
May didn't play, and then BB got hurt.
BB got hurt.
I didn't know BB didn't play.
In the second half sometime.
I think he'll be back, though. I know he'll be back.
I think Jensen wasn't there because he was working on his hair at home.
Might have been. Is MCC the best 2-10 team you've seen in a while? I feel like they're not bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they aren't bad. They've had a lot.
Christian's
of
not
games.
biting. I can tell. He's
I can see that. But they're the best 2-10 team I've ever seen. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
2-10.
I mean, I would say, Heart's above it. So
Yeah,
I would say that. I mean, Mason County's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. They could have beat Ravenna the first time when Ravenna was full.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, they had Montague on the ropes at halftime.
Absolutely.
North Muskegon on the ropes.
Yeah.
North Muskegon.
you don't come ready to play, and especially, I mean, Ravenna had to go up there, right? We
that's
luckily get to have them at home because that's
so much better.
Nobody wants to play there.
It's like playing at Shelby.
Scary.
He goes around with the sage before and gets it
North
all over.
Muskegon too. North Muskegon gets loud. That's a tough place to play.
Yeah. So it's unreal.
So I was texting Zach the other day, and I'm like, I can't remember something around the lines of what a great time to be in the West Michigan Conference. So what great basketball and players. I mean, every team has a kid that you look at and you're like, man, good player. Cam at Whitehall and Hayes at Shelby and BB and McManus.
There's tons.
You just see all these guys. It's
Oak Ridge
just pretty.
got a couple of them.
Oak Ridge has got a couple. So yeah,
I don't know. It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Craziness. Christian, I want to talk a little bit about your individual players and how young your team is.
Yeah.
Cam Thompson. This kid is an animal, and he keeps proving it over and over and over. Mm-hmm. What does the future look like for a kid like that? And how
lucky
special
dog.
is he?
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely nice. So the future for him is going to be whatever he decides it to be. So that's the thing. I think it was his mom maybe said it best to me. I'm a part of it, right? But he dictates it, right? If he decides he doesn't want to work hard, which by the way is not going to happen, then that's going to be his going to be his ceiling, right? But he's texting me. I gave him yesterday off because we were sore, right? We're banged up a little bit, not hurt, but banged up, and he's like, "But can I get in the gym and shoot?" And that's just him, right? Yeah. So he drags kids along too. I mean, we got Cal Kohler, who's also a freshman that's been playing. last game he played a lot of minutes for us. He's been playing, anywhere from like 15 to, 11 to 15 minutes. And the last game, I think he played like 23.
Yeah.
So, because we had a little foul trouble. But he's dragging kids along, too. I mean, he wants them in the gym with him because, when I say, we're going to win a district, and he goes under his breath, he goes, state.
Yeah.
What is his ceiling? I mean, I know it's hard to project, but what can he do? Because I've been watching a lot of basketball throughout the years and seeing different size schools and going to the state finals a long time. And you don't want to put too much pressure on a kid, but what could that kid potentially do if he keeps on that path?
So his goal is to play Division I basketball. I think he can do it. I really do. I've talked to Coach Anise, just because he's friends with Bronkema and things like that. And I've talked to, Matt Shepard, who's really good friends with Jasic, and just trying to figure out, I want to make sure I do what's right by this kid, right? So I think
Shep
he can
played
do it.
D1 too, didn't he?
He did. He played
IUPUI or something like that.
IPFW.
IPFW, that's what it was.
Yep. So he knows. I mean, he sees it. The only difference between Shep and him is, Camden Thompson's not a post. He's a guard.
No, definitely.
People sometimes want to think he's a post because he's 6'4". He's not.
Well, and because he rebounds like a
because
machine.
what he can get done and get
Correct.
around the basket.
Yeah.
No,
But I think he
Cam's
can
legit, dude. Like Zach and I talked about it at the beginning of the year, and like before the season ever started. And Zach
hype.
was kind of like, "What do you think about Cam?" And I said, "Do you think I think you asked, is he going to be on the varsity?" And my comment was,
Yeah.
he will not only be on the varsity, but he will be one of the best players in the conference."
Yeah.
And Zach was like, "Come on, he's
Yeah,
a freshman.
I was
He's a
skeptical.
freshman." And
Absolutely.
I'm like, dude, watching him this summer.
You got to see him.
Yeah,
against the
he
best.
just does. Like you look, and I've said this before. You look at kids like that, and when you hear the hype, there's always something that they don't do well.
Yeah,
like either they don't try hard, or they don't pass well, or they don't like. Cam just did it all well, and he was a good teammate, and he's a good kid. You're real lucky. I think he's gonna be special.
It's one of those things. I think I remember when we were having this conversation. Number one, I hadn't seen him play.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right.
But number two, like, when's the last time a freshman dominated the conference?
Historically, you're absolutely right.
I mean, like, it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't
so
happen.
it's just such. I remember that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, no way, Brent.
Yeah.
No way this kid's gonna. And I just can't tell you how pleasantly surprised I am to watch somebody that's that talented at that age.
There was a freshman up when I was a senior, Jesse Deering. Who was part of Mason County's state title run a couple years later. And he was an amazing 8th grade basketball player. He played guard, but like when they brought him up, he was his first year. Nothing against the kid. He was a solid player, but he definitely
Didn't dominate.
He just, everybody's like, well, what happened? Well, he's playing varsity basketball.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Like it's a
different.
different, now by the time he was a senior, he was amazing. Like,
Right.
but you're right. To have Cam come in and do what he's doing is pretty.
I love how humble he is too.
He is.
And so you don't. Or I don't see it that he'd be changing it all. Like he'd be, like success would get to him, and that he's going to change maybe the way he works or anything like that.
I don't think so. He's a willing passer, which a lot of times that doesn't happen with a guy with his scoring. He sometimes too willing, right?
You're like shoot.
Yeah, well, I mean, he gets it within 4 feet. We're pretty successful there.
Yeah,
but the realization that I knew that Cam was just in Kyle Stratton's mind is he's just built different.
Yeah.
We go and we play Muskegon, right, in the summer, and he goes and he picks out a kid. I forget who it was. I want to say it was Mo Sane maybe, and he's like, I'm guarding him. I'm like, all right. And then it gets a little physical, and he doesn't back down, right? Yeah. Physical, like as far as like they're trying to push him around, and
because they look at him and think, he's a skinny kid. Like he's tough, man.
Yeah,
well, that's the other thing about him too is when you get a kid that's that young. That's 6'3", 6'4". It's usually like a kind of like a deer running around out there, passive and not coordinated. But that's not the case with him. I mean, he's skilled. He's athletic. He's got the motor.
He does.
He's got the mentality.
So the only thing, I mean, he hasn't been crazy with shooting the ball. Like I'd say, like a McManus,
no,
like make shot like. But I feel like with his work ethic, that's going to come. And when he can shoot the three and when he can get, like, really, really well, like, I know he's a good shooter now, but, like, man, he's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, he can shoot. He hasn't been as successful, but the problem is every team and their mother is zoning us, and he's deadly. If he gets the ball below the free throw line,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, teams are in trouble. I mean, that's what happened against North Muskegon. We just kind of parked him there, but you're right. He hasn't shot.
He will though.
Yeah, he's gonna work. That's where I say he's going to give you what he has
for sure. He's also so valuable.
Absolutely.
Right, like down low. Like he gets so many offensive boards.
We had
half
21
his shots are
offensive rebounds.
Yeah, he's insane
against Oak Ridge.
He's nuts.
How do you think the other sports he plays helps him?
I think that's huge. I mean, I love that he is not going to be the kid, because sometimes when you start having this success, kids all of a sudden start saying, maybe I should just play AAU, right? Which is good, but I was a football coach as well, and I love what our football program does for our athletes. I think it makes them tough. I think he's going to continue to do those, and I think what the best thing about it is it gives him different movements, different muscles he's working with every day. Because in basketball, you're dealing with your knees and all those things, but football, you're dealing with it all, right? And wait till you see him in track. It's gonna be
he's pretty amazing.
I would Mr. Michelson told me that he is at last year as an 8th grader he would have finished 3rd at the D2 state meet in the high jump, and that was as an 8th grader. So let's see what he does as a high schooler, because I know he can jump higher now than he did last year, because he's dunking it pretty easily now.
Is that why Kirk's drooling all over the scorebook at every game?
Yeah, he's always looking just like, and he's always saying, "Can you take him out now? Don't get hurt."
Yeah, don't get him hurt.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
What an animal. Yeah. And then touch on a little bit. I mean, he's joined by pretty hefty sophomore junior class too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids that maybe aren't great basketball players, but that are really good athletes.
Yeah, and that contributed to the beginning of the year too, right? We just came fresh off the football field, so I got kids running around playing football out there, which is that's part of it, right? Yeah. Nate Bully's as good as an athlete as anyone around here, and he's only a junior. I've got Jack Houdeman, who's a great soccer player. I would say probably one of the best in the conference.
For sure.
Jack McDowell, who's good at plenty. I think he was all conference as a soccer player this year.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And good baseball player as well. And then we've got Kyle Stratton, who's a sophomore and playing a lot of minutes, and I'm having him take a lot of big shots or big free throws down the stretch. I want the ball in his hands when we're getting fouled.
That's what Owen was talking about the first game we played against you guys, Montague, and he goes, we weren't expecting Kyle to hit that many shots. The game plan was
give it to him.
Let him take some shots.
Yep.
And Kyle plays big, man. In the right spots. He likes the spotlight. He played big in football. He played big there too. So.
Yeah, he's a gamer. There's no question.
There's no moment that's what I say a couple times. He made me extremely mad a couple times.
It's a sophomore, right?
In the Montague game at Montague, and then he. The next possession after he turns it over he gets a steal and then comes down and hits a 3, and I go, he totally redeemed himself. It's just he loves that moment.
So the one thing that I think when you look at programs, your JV is pretty good too. You got some kids on there that I think probably could play varsity basketball right now. So you guys always have athletes. That's that's a big advantage, so.
It sure is. Yeah, it definitely is.
Training in Kamar and Everett. And
that's literally what I was going to talk about. Throughout the season, we've seen a lot of underclassmen that have kind of either bumped up or played, here and there kind of thing. You guys aren't short on any JV kids, that are going to be coming up from the next couple of years. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, we actually – I wasn't sure that I wanted to lose my job right away, so
that's fair.
We were gonna at Shelby actually. When we had all the foul trouble, I was going to draw up a play for Kamar ready to catch a lob for the game-winning shot with 3 seconds left. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lean on the junior to do it. So.
That's fair. That's honestly
but
fair.
in my mind, and Shep's like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of."
Yeah. You are. I've seen you coach before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a basketball podcast if we didn't talk about the best players in the
Lord,
league.
here we go again.
first off, let's touch on Parker Hovey. I don't know. I'm assuming you had some experience with him at Hart, at least maybe as a
younger kid.
Yeah. Yep. You know, what are your thoughts on one of the league's best players? You know,
just giving it up.
Yeah, giving it up, and talk about how like different Hart looks now without him, and you know the situation as much as you can say at least.
Yeah, I mean it's sad for Adam. It's sad for Parker. You know, I don't know exactly all the stuff that goes into it, but it's just a tough situation. You know, because from what I knew of Parker, because I believe he might have been this is my 4th year at YL, so yeah, he was an 8th grader, and he was a stud then too.
Oh yeah,
and he was always at the camps and stuff that we did, and just a nice kid. He really is, and he comes from a really nice family, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a tough situation, but I mean he's when you say he's one of the top players in the league, he's at least top 3 for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like we were talking about this the other day. I mean, I don't think Adam would put him up, but what happens if he did?
Yeah.
Could that even happen, I wonder? You know what I mean? Because
that's interesting.
That's
I guess I didn't think about that.
You know, because
can you do that?
I don't know.
Well, first off, that just goes to my. I hate how all conferences selected.
Here we go.
Like I absolutely hate it that somebody has to be put up. But like,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like I think that.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think you I don't like.
Because don't you have to have so many games in too, or no?
He's got to have
that I know of.
Yeah,
I think he's got to have enough games because we're almost done here, and he's been out for 2.
I mean, you could give him probably a goose egg for the last 3 or 4 games in the conference, and he'd still be in the top 10.
12 or something, right?
Yeah. Like in
12 conference games, maybe more.
No, we only have 14.
Boy, that's tough.
Well, maybe Ted played 10.
I think as a coach, you can't, can you? Like that goes
he
everything against your culture. Like
he won't. But I just
Yeah. Well, we took him off the stat leaderboards just because
he's
not on the team.
When we had to talk about it,
we had to discuss it because what do you do with that?
It's tough because, like I said, it's just a tough situation because he still is a good kid.
Yeah,
and that doesn't change.
Yeah,
it just is it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
right. I don't know what I would have to do in that situation. I'd probably cry a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, like if Cam's just like. I'm done, Christian. You'd be like,
I say we stop beating around the bush and let's get subbed into top 5.
Yeah, we're all going to pick again because I'll tell you what, my top
5 ain't changing.
Oh please,
it's not.
It should. You got some issues in your
all
top
right,
5.
let me hear it, Zach.
I'm not going first.
You're not. You're at the bottom. Oh, you're putting Christian on the spot right now.
I have to go first.
Well, wait. Can we clarify because I had a lot of questions about this afterwards.
Oh, please.
Not top 5. You're putting 5 together to create a team.
Yeah, so you're starting 5.
Okay.
You're making
you're
like
starting
an all-star
5.
roster.
That's easy.
Because that's different, right? Like I really do think that that's different. So.
All right, so I'd go Red Watson, Nate Boley.
You friggin' homer! Give me a break.
No, I'm kidding. But
well, it does put you in a little bit of a weird
spot. It
does.
In a weird spot. I love my guys, but I mean for me, I guess I would go top 5 in the league instead. I would say top 5 players in the league, not who I would start because I'd ride or die with my guys.
Yeah. Yep. And we're not making you pick an all-conference lineup because I feel like that's
wrong too. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I'd have Cam. And is this in any order or is
it doesn't have to be in order.
If you're doing
okay, yeah. So
you can put them in order if you want.
I'd have Cam. I'd definitely have Kyle Beebe. God, I'd have Troy. I'd have McManus. He gave it to us twice. Yeah. Oh, Joseph Hayes. That's no. I mean, he might be the top player in the league in my opinion.
Like every time I want to start sliding him down the
he does something silly.
He scores 30
I'll be honest with you. I was at the Montague Shelby game the other night, and Zach, I was confused when you said he had 31.
Yeah,
because I walked away and I was like, "No, Hayes can." And Kara goes, "Brent, he had like 16 at halftime."
He's so
like,
quiet.
He did.
So quiet. It is really quiet.
Like it's not. It's weird.
Who's your 5th?
God, that's tough.
That's the brutal.
It is hard
for me. That's brutal too.
Yeah.
The 5th. I'm gonna have to go with my guy too. I'm gonna have to go with Brody Fogus because he's just
better than Joza?
He might not. He might. Let's say points wise.
I gotta get like.
He might not be points wise. Let's say that because he's not averaging as much as Joza, but he is Cam's eating up a lot of those points, but he makes it hard because if you don't box him out, the dude is going to get the rebound. And he's had some big games too this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm accused of being a homer. I'm as big of a homer as there can be.
You're gonna have to accuse me of it. I understand.
So and I get the spot. Like you like, how do you come in here as a coach? Like, it's easy to sit back. All I got to deal with is maybe a couple kids that I know. You're like, so I get that, but
yeah.
I'm also a believer in healthy conflict. Like, I'm not going to tell Zach he's the best at what he does if he's not the best at what he does. You know,
but I am, so you can't.
Right. Gosh,
and
he's humble.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there's things that all of those players do well, but I think there's some things that my players do better than some of those.
That's what makes it so hard, though, right? Like we talk about how good a defender Nate Boley is. Well,
he's not near the scorer as some of those guys, but I know he's given those guys a load of trouble. Yeah, you know, and here's the other thing, like. I think Tate Stein could be up there at any time. He's a good player. I talked to him. We were at the White Lake basketball, and he's like, "Why'd you have to do me like that, Coach?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You had to play no ball on me the whole game." I was like, "Yeah, you got to stop being willing to pass, and then we won't do that."
So I'm going to make a caveat. Like, my top 5 is different than the starting 5 that I would have.
Sure.
So maybe I'll do both.
You want to do top 5?
So mine's top 5.
I'll do
mine's
top
not
5.
Starting 5 because if it's starting 5, I'm picking my guys just so that's very
you lose
clear.
too with those guys.
Well, yeah. I'm just want to be very clear.
I'm just going to be completely Cam on Cam. That's a wash, but like, you know, like
pick your top 5, Brent.
All right, top 5. You just type Cam up there, huh? Yeah, I would go Cam. I'd go Kyle. I'd go McManus. I'd go Hayes. The 5th guy is a little hard, but I'd have to go Joza. I feel like he's putting together a season that is you can't deny. And sure, he's a little bit more one-dimensional. He's more of a traditional post player, but man, he's tough. Like he just does the little stuff. And I feel like, again, like as a traditional post player, you're. You know, he is the archetypal.
He's already filling mine out. I don't even have to say a word.
Can he guard you one-on-one is my question.
He doesn't always have to, though.
Well, that's what. But you would have to sooner or later.
I'm going to let you guess my number 5.
Go ahead. But if you're going that route, do you? I mean, I would say Boley and Isaiah Atchison are 2 of the best defenders in the league. I mean, Isaiah had 10 blocks the other night. He's probably leading the league in block shots, easily. He's a difference maker, but I don't have Isaiah there either.
Right,
you know, right. And if you think I don't take heat for that, like now, if you're asking me players with the most potential, he's there. Like
don't take my
Lord help 5. You guys with when he decides he's gonna be hard and play hard. He's gonna be tough. But again, that's like you said about Cam. Like it's all like how you decide. But yeah.
Oh, what's yours, Scott? What's your last one if it's not signed?
Oh man. If you have a starting 5 like we talked about,
starting 5 is different.
I do like Stein at the point guard spot. However, if I'm going top 5 players, to me, it's that 5th spot is really close between Joseph and Weaver. I think I'm going to go with Weaver in this one.
Yeah. I can see that.
You could go. You're
Zach's
not go wrong
shaking his head, but
you can't go wrong either way.
I can't dispute the kid's scores. I mean, he's been on a roll.
So I coached both of them this summer.
Yeah.
So I have a pretty good look at both of them, and I will tell you that Weaver, you can't make him uncomfortable. We went against some of the top. Yeah. We went against Ben Harbor. It was just Ben Harbor, and we end up beating them. Mm-hmm. And you know how the pressure they put on people, and he just didn't waver. He brought the ball.
When you had Boley on him, right?
Yeah,
Friday.
Yeah, I mean they did a great job.
And he still got his.
Yeah, off the ball screens.
Yeah, he loves you. I remember the first time we played him, and I'm watching, and I'm like, I hadn't really noticed him until last year, and I'm like, he doesn't. You know, he comes in with his glasses on. He doesn't look like he. I'm like, who is this kid that just hit big shot after big, and he's nothing like crazy with the ball, but he doesn't turn it over. Like,
nope.
No, he's solid. That's going back and forth. I do agree with you. That's a tough one. And frankly, if Parker was in this conversation, he would take that second spot, right? Like it would make this easier. But
a lot easier.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right.
Interesting.
All right, Z, you put yourself up for me last.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think my number 5 is?
You're gonna go Joe.
I don't care. Whoever it is gonna be silly. Really? Boy.
Yep.
I like Tate. One, I love the kid. Yeah. Right, great kid.
That's not what we're talking
great
about.
Player.
Kids we like.
But and in a starting five, my starting five would be much different than this, and I think he fits in really well in a starting five.
I just think that he is going. If you just have, we're not doing a starting five. We're just doing the 5 best players. They get to team up.
Yeah,
he's going to make those kids so much better.
Do you need a point guard in that starting 5? Because I can tell you, BB can handle the ball too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but BB's a shoot first guy. Like, I think as a point guard, like,
I don't know. And that team we played on with Hayes and them, he was he was willing to pass.
Yeah, and you got a different view than I do from that. So
because out of that list,
what a great problem to have, though, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's hurting you at all in any way.
No way.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'd take him in that starting 5. I would. That's both for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I make it work.
The thing about
I'm not
Tate,
saying it's picture perfect, like status quo starting 5, but I'm making it work.
The thing about Tate, he's a complete package too.
But I don't.
Because not only is
Traditionally, you have like
Stein.
a big man. Though.
Tate Stein's a complete package because he's a great player, great kid.
Yep.
But
he's awesome, and I mean he's got a great personality. He calls the games, and he's awesome at that.
Yeah, the reason I like Tate in a starting 5 is because he can score, but he's not a score first guy. Like he definitely is not. No. But if you need him to hit a shot, he can hit a shot.
He will.
So I don't know that you need him to hit a lot of shots, but he can if you need him to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like I'm just taking him in my top 5.
Yeah.
I think he's bad apples.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm not going to argue that.
Stats don't stack out necessarily, but
he's still an all-conference kid by far, easily.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right.
By the way, we're not going to talk about the details of the all-conference list
we
right
have
now.
Heated debates
but
here
like,
about that.
8, 9, 10 are like...
Yeah, especially now that the...
Can we talk about how it's decided, though? Because, like, I've really, like...
Yeah,
so my wife's
good.
a varsity coach, and they do it the same way in soccer.
That's not good.
And I think it's the silliest way. So if I'm going to describe it, and you tell me if I got this right.
All right.
Basically, based on how a team finishes in the conference, you get more nominations, or is that not how it works?
No, you
get nominated as many as you want at any point.
Yeah, you could finish last and you could nominate all 5 of your guys.
Okay, so the nominations are not limited in soccer. From what Kara tells me, the nominations, like if North Muskegon wins the conference, they get 4. If like
that's not how it works in basketball.
That's not how it works in basketball.
I mean, I think you would get a little bit more respect. Like, let's say you win the conference, right? Like, let's say that we hold on and we win the conference.
Yeah.
I think that I can get at least 2 kids.
Okay.
At least, but in other years, there's times.
But you got to nominate them.
They get 3.
Right. So like you got to nominate them and basically put them up to be voted on.
Absolutely, but you also. It's hard because you have to. This is a political game because you do not want.
You don't want to put up too many kids.
If you do that, if you put up too many kids, then you're voting against your kids.
You guys decide the rules, or is it the ADs, or is it?
That's how it is in all state too. Because I've been on those panels, and if a team puts up too many kids,
you're going to vote against your kids.
It's kind of like
the dumbest.
It's kind of like the Mr. Basketball thing. If you get 2 kids from one area or one league, they take votes from each other.
Can we really just be honest? Like this is about the best players, right? So like
should be, but it's not.
This is a terrible way to
say who's the best player? Is it just points?
No. Well, and I think everybody's got to determine that. Yeah. But I think, like, why not just each coach votes for who they think are the best 10 players in the league? And
he's saying everybody does their own list. Like you bring 10.
Yeah. Christian comes in and says, I got this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy is all conference. Other coaches do the same thing. You add up votes. You have unanimous all conference, which is every coach selected you. Cam Thompson's going to be unanimous all conference. And then whoever got the most votes below that gets, and then the guys that were maybe had votes are honorable mention.
Yeah, and I think it stinks too, because I was actually talking to Dave about this because I'm going to learn from him. I went one year actually when I was the JV coach with Nate, just so I could just
see what it was.
And I think it's a little, in my opinion, I would call it like dirty pool almost.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing. If I got a guy that I think's 8, 9, 10, I might not vote for a kid that's 7, which it puts me in a horrible spot. It puts me in a spot where that kid should be all conference, and I know it.
Yeah.
But if I want to do what's best for my players, which every one of those coaches do,
right,
then they're putting themselves in a bad spot because then they're not going to vote. They might, or if they might, let's say someone is going to get they might be 7th place, they'll leave them off because then they don't get votes because I know I can't vote for my own guy. Which is
so
tough.
I think you get rid of that. You can vote for your own guy. I think you rate the top 10 players in the league.
You take away what I just described.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I this.
You don't think there's gonna be coaches that put all 5 of their kids on the top list?
I don't.
Sure, maybe, but I think that they'll take a huge amount of heat if they did that.
Oh yeah, they would lose a lot of credibility. I think even like.
But it doesn't matter.
I use the Ravenna coach a lot for the example. Like I think he's got 3 kids that possibly could be all conference.
Yeah.
But he knows he's not going to get all 3. But even if he won the league, maybe they could still win the league, right?
Yeah. I watched Kara struggle with this in her last season. Like she had to pick the girls she thought she could best argue that they were all conference, even though maybe she didn't think that they were the. Yeah, maybe she thought they deserved it, but there was another girl who she thought deserved it as much, but she couldn't argue that
she
like
didn't have a good game.
So
against
so like it's really I just hate the way that it's done. Like I don't know.
I mean, look at like for example, Cam scored 9 against Montague the first time. That's game 1 back, and then what if Montague just said, I'm not voting for him?
Because he had one game.
Yeah, he only played good 1 game. It's like, okay, well, that's not the whole story.
So I think you got to take statistics into it, but I also think there's intangibles. We talked about that. I think Tate Stein has a lot of intangibles, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think there's got to be balance. But I your example of guys on the same team, like, boy, why should they get punished because they played with great talent?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like saying that, you go back, this is dating me a little bit. You go back to the Celtics and you say, well, Larry Bird's on that team. We can only have one All-NBA guy on that team. We can only have one Hall of Famer from that team, even though Kevin McHale was great, Robert Parrish was great, Dennis Johnson was great. Same thing with the Showtime Lakers or the Bulls, right? Like, I think, no, you vote for the best players, right? Like,
the same argument vice versa, too, right? Like, if you're on a horrible team.
Sure. Horrible team what, though? Like, I mean, if you're scoring 50 a game, like...
But, I mean, what if you're not... You're guaranteed at least one kid to be all-conference.
Which team. I think that's ridiculous.
At least honorable mention, excuse me. It can be all-conference or honorable mention. But still, that takes a spot from a kid that I think might deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this year, maybe it's not as hard.
Well, and some years it won't be. Some years it'll be.
But I think it's become harder, actually, now since Parker's...
Yeah, it puts it in a little bit of a different spot. But like, I think MCC legit has an all-conference kid on it. Hart past Parker. No offense, Hart players, but I don't know. I really like.
I don't think they have.
I don't think they have another one. Like I look at other kids I look at other kids in the conference, other teams that their number 2 or 3 players are probably better than all of the kids on Hearts 5, and you're seeing it like in how their losses are stacking up. I'm a truth guy. Like, I'm sorry if that, like, even if my own team, I'm going to be honest with them. Like, I don't think you're there yet, right? Like,
Adam's not. I know Adam well, and he's not he's not going to go and be crazy. Like, if he really believes that a kid should get it, he'll fight for him, or he'll at least fight for him to get honorable mention.
Right.
And I think he would have a justifiable argument.
For sure.
I don't know.
For at least an honorable mention.
Yeah. I think you got to see the list and compare it to everybody else. You're probably right.
Like,
I can see asking maybe an honorable mention.
I mean, he hit 7 threes against us.
No, I know. He scored quite a few points.
Time.
Yeah, maybe he does. Yeah, I could see that. I can see
big games.
Yeah.
These things are political. They just are.
It shouldn't.
No matter how much you don't want them to be.
It
shouldn't be, but that's all they turn out.
And you've seen it all the time, and we've talked about it for like
seen it all state, all conference, whatever.
Right, and you
all area even.
And I mean, steal votes from one kid to give them to another, and you're like, but man, that kid's good too.
I know.
Well, I mean, like, you're looking at. I just watched a YouTube video on, and I don't watch a lot of NBA stuff, but like the Joker. The Joker's having arguably the single best offensive season of like his per is like ridiculous right now, and he's not even being talked about for MVP, and it's ridiculous. But his team hasn't won.
Is LeBron being talked about?
I don't think so. I think it's like there's Curry, there's Embiid, there's a couple other ones that are. He's like 4th on the list, but like. He's been playing amazing, and he's not flashy. Like, I think that can hurt him, but like, I don't know. I think you can be on a bad team and lose games. You're playing against great people. Like, so So the idea that Boley locked up Weaver and that played defense on Weaver or whatever, like, I think that says something to you. Maybe he doesn't win that game, but if he gets 22 against a great defender, you're playing all those teams, right? Like, you can lose games and still be great. Like,
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
So I don't know.
You gotta go, Scott.
I'm still waiting for that text. So
oh, you're still going?
Yeah, there's a couple more things I wanted to talk about. It was funny because I thought about this for the first time in a while when I was having baseball last week Wednesday, and I saw you practicing, and it made me think about how difficult it is for kids to
baseball
choose
never
sports.
ends.
Yeah. Well, and they said like baseball. We would say the same thing about basketball, right. Where we have kids missing varsity baseball games to play hardwood, which is what happened last year, right? Like there's stuff, and I'm not saying one's worse than the other. I'm just saying that if a kid wants to make a sport year round, you know, they pretty much can.
Yeah,
right?
They could. Yeah.
And talk about your opinion on that situation and how hard it is for kids to pick and choose sometimes.
So I kind of go both ways on this because I played 3 sports too, right?
Absolutely.
And so we had lifting, we had basketball lifting, we had baseball, when I did baseball, you know, we had the summer league stuff, right?
Yep.
And I'd have to get up a little bit earlier to go to the morning lifting, right? And then I would go to shooting, right? And we'd ride our bike there uphill both ways in the snow.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I get to adapt that now because I'm 30. So it is tough, right? But the one thing I will say about Whitehall is I think we communicate really well with our coaches, right? I mean, this will be my first year not doing varsity football in a while at Whitehall, and Sig and I are going to sit down and look at the schedule because I don't want to make kids choose. And here's how I choose for them in the summer. It's football season. Go to football, right? And I think Zweigel does a good job of this too. Like, you know, he asked me if the kids can go. Yeah, they can go. I want them to be able to do that because I'm not trying to hold kids hostage either. Like Kyle Stratton, and he's a pretty good basketball player for me. Yeah. Basketball is probably his 3rd sport.
Yeah.
So if I hold him captive and say, no, you are not allowed to throw a football. No, you are not allowed to pitch for baseball. Then he says, okay, I'm good with basketball then. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? And so they are pulled in a lot of different directions, and it is tough. But I think if you can have coaches that sit down and communicate those things, you know, even Sig, like those kids were in the gym shooting every single Sunday. Now, they weren't allowed to play. That was a strict rule. You are not allowed to do any playing. You're only allowed to shoot, right? So I think if you can have those communication, I think it makes it easier for the kids.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was in school, and probably when Scott was in school, like, we didn't do a ton of organized off-season stuff.
Right.
So, like, the season started when the season kind of started. Now, we'd play basketball summer. Right? Like, we might have a team camp in the middle of the year for a week. Other than that, and, like, in baseball, it was the same thing. You started when the season started. The way that the sports is evolved now, though, is like every sport wants you to practice year round. I don't know. Maybe I'm living in a dream world, but I don't see better players coming out in these sports because they're doing this stuff year round. Personally, like you're gonna be hard pressed to tell me that there's a better player that ever played in the West Michigan Conference than a guy like Doug Schloff. Right? He played baseball in the spring. He did things in like he played a lot of basketball, but like I don't know. Like, do you think that it's coaches need to maybe draw that back a little bit, right? Like Sunday practices and you know what I mean? Like the whole
hard part is like you have kids that are one sport or like or 2 sport or more focused on. So you want to provide that opportunity, but you also don't want to pull kids away from the sport that they're currently playing. You know, but the bottom line is there is kids out there. I'm just going to use Kyle Stratton for the easiness of an example.
Yeah.
Like that will take those opportunities just because that's who they are. They just want, like the kid feels like he can't miss anything. No, we're not punishing him we're not even telling him he has to be there.
Nope.
He just does it. He does it with basketball. He does it with football. He does the best he can to get to everything that he can. And I feel like that's such a hard.
So you don't think coaches have a responsibility to help make that choice for their kids by not having the practice?
See, I don't think maybe not having the practice because, like you said, I've got I've got a couple kids that are basketball only kids. So if I don't have the practice, then I'm slighting them too. But if I tell Kyle, all right, it's summer, right? We have a scrimmage, or you have a 7-on-7. I make the choice very easy for him, and I say, hey Kyle, if you come to the basketball scrimmage, you're not going to play. So go to football, right? So I think it's coaches. I think it would be good on coaches to say, I'll make the decision for you, and you have to be objective because that's directly hurting me. Technically, with not having him play basketball.
That's you're thinking about the kid more than you're thinking about the sport.
Well, yeah, because I don't.
I can tell you, having 3 kids that play sports, if a coach has a Sunday practice, they feel like they're obligated to be at that practice, whether they're in season or not out of season, and it puts an enormous amount of pressure on the kid to try to get to everything, which is detrimental to the kid.
But is it unfair to the kids that are only playing that
sport? What stops the kids that are only playing that sport from practicing on their own? What stops that?
Nothing stops that, but then you're saying that individual practice and team practice is like the same. It's beneficial equally.
I'm telling you that the best basketball players in our conference they're not where they're at because they only play organized basketball.
Yeah,
Cam Thompson is a gym rat. I guarantee you that.
Those kids also play on teams like almost like a majority of the year. Yeah. Can you argue that?
Yeah.
What does your kid do? What does Owen do in the summer?
He won't be playing hardwood this summer.
Right.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Sure.
But I'm going to be honest with you. Not because of you, Christian. I don't. That
does sound bad. I'm just going to be honest.
I will. So let me follow because I love Bud Giddings. I love the hardwood program. This is for Owen. He was pulled in too many directions. He was pulled in too many different directions. He felt obligated to play hardwood because everybody wanted him to play hardwood, and he felt like he loves basketball.
Yeah.
But his comment when they went to team camp was, this was way better than hardwood. And I'm a firm believer in practice makes you better, not games. And I felt like the balance between practice and games in travel sports is not a lot. It's you play more games. There's like and it can create bad habits. It can create good habits. Like, yeah, he won't go.
But does that mean that hardwood should disappear then? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm arguing. That's what I'm asking.
No, but I'm not. You've taken something that's external to a varsity basketball program and made it part of this conversation. I'm talking about varsity coaches having practices that put pressure on kids that they feel like they have to attend. Owen doesn't feel like if he doesn't go to hardwood, he won't necessarily, like Dave's not necessarily like going to, now if Dave runs team camp all summer, which he can't do, right? There's a reason the MHSA put those rules in place because coaches were, right? Like if he did that, Owen would feel obligated to go to that.
Yeah, but they can have lifting and workouts all summer.
Sure, and kids can do that on their own too. I think self-advocacy.
That organized lifting and workout shouldn't be a thing.
I think that the kids that are going to be great are going to do it on their own, whether you have it organized or not. And the kids that when it's organized,
you don't think they should have organized lifting and workouts?
I think that it depends, and there's a balance there. I think that when you do too much of it, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on kids.
Yeah, I don't view this as an exact science. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think that it's like a really, really challenging thing, and coaches struggle with it across the board, and the good programs, the good districts communicate really well across the board.
So what made athletes good athletes before we had year-round sports? Because there were great athletes that came out, and they're like, why do we need year-round like stuff to make great athletes? Like I guess I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, is that a good argument there?
I think those great athletes though did more outside of like for me,
I sure. I played at Township every day.
Correct. Like, we would go play all the time, but that's just not what's happening now, and that's a shift in.
Happen. It can't organically happen because coaches from every single sport have organized things all year round.
So you think that they would then just jump in and do it on their own?
Maybe not. We won't know because
what happens if they don't though?
Then they suffer and they don't play.
And then your team's not competing in the league next year.
That's the thing.
Okay. Are you caring about your kid competing or are you caring about the kids?
Well, they could be one and the same. You care about your kid winning.
I just know that when the kids are in the season, right? So a lot of times, like for my kids, they they equate having a good time to being competitive and winning. And I'm not saying that's all for me, right? And because do I want to compete and win? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they equate that to, so if they don't work at it, then how do you get better? But I see what you're saying. Like, why can't they just do it on their own? We tell kids to do that when we go to kids camp. We're like, hey, if you just dribble during kids camp, you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
You got to do it at home.
You used Owen as an example.
Yeah.
Okay. Owen didn't play any year-round summer sports for basketball until last year. He'd already made the varsity as a freshman. He'd already, you know what he did though? Every time that kid's at home and he's bored, he's in the driveway shooting and dribbling and playing basketball. He's calling kids. He's going out. He's blessed to have brothers that want to play with him too, right? Like,
you took a shot at baseball. I felt like being a year-round sport kind of.
It is a year-round sport though.
Well,
like
so are these other sports.
I would agree with you. I would completely agree with you. Yeah. I was more joking. The baseball kind of runs all the way.
That's what I said.
Like you start baseball in February, right? You start getting the season really starts
kind of year-round, just like every.
Then baseball gets over officially, and then they go into summer league baseball, which goes all the way till football starts.
Football is now jumped into
football
that
is too 7-on-7s in the
Nate
summer.
Bully plays on
the weekend.
Yeah,
right now during our. Like we're about to go into district, and he's going to the state
I would agree with
championship.
you. No, you're right. I maybe I was unfairly took a shot.
How much of this is driven by parents too, and the dollar and the money that these travel organizations can make by parents whose kids might be middling athletes, but the kids think their kids are going to be. Their parents think the kids are going to be next Derek Jeter.
I need to find the article. I
don't want to get into all the travel sports stuff right now.
I found an article that talked about and did the math on 4 years of travel sports for high school. Yeah. They could have paid for college.
New house.
Could have paid for college. Yeah, like could have paid for their. So why do you need to? So you get them. You get them there to be a Division I athlete. No, they get their Let's say they get their scholarship. You just you might as well have just saved all that,
right?
And you would have paid for their college. Like it's
hardwood wasn't really, and honestly, that expensive from what I saw.
It wasn't, and I don't want to.
Still not.
Well, but
cheap.
You got to remember that all the dollars that go into that, right? Hardwood, to pay for it is not a big deal.
To stay.
But I have to drive to Mount Pleasant for an entire weekend. I have to pay for a hotel.
I mean, I lost money doing it.
I know you did. Like, I get it, right?
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
you don't coach for money ever.
And Christian, I want to make it clear, like, Owen enjoyed playing for you. So, he's it wasn't that. I just think that, like, when you look at that, it's I don't know. And my wife is a varsity coach, and she's backed off a lot of the stuff, full season stuff. That,
I just know that we the baseball program, we are constantly discussing, is this too much? Is this not
that's
enough?
good. Then you're doing the right thing.
There's no good. It's just so hard, and it seems like every year there's something new that we're trying to figure out.
Especially at Whitehall right now, you've got a bunch of kids that play baseball, so they're like, why? And what do you tell a kid? So that's part of the reason I'm not being a varsity
but it goes every which way.
Coach.
I'm not saying I'm special.
No, I'm saying
because you're conflicting with.
I don't want to conflict. And if the kid asks me, "Can I be in the gym?" and I tell him no, then what am I doing?
Right. Well, no, I get it, right? Like I understand what you're saying, and I don't know. I just taking a step back. I look at that, and I'm just kind of like.
Yeah. Oh, I miss hooping on our you just meet at the park in the
summer. I'm gonna tell you Sunday basketball with the old guys. I think has done all kinds of stuff for some of the Montague basketball players.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, learning how to play hard, learning how to play right. They're getting yelled at by the. Why are you standing there? Move, box out, cut,
call out a pick.
That's where I learned how to play basketball. Right, playing with guys that were older than me, doing all that. But
No, I get it. I totally
agree with
I
that.
agree with you
we
too.
play on Thursday mornings at Whitehall before school, and they've done that for 30-something years.
Yeah.
And I remember going against James Cannon and Pat Welsh and all those guys, and I was a 7th grader, and they're like...
Toughens you up a little
bit.
And
they start losing, and all of a sudden here comes full court trap, and you're like, oh, God.
What am I going to do?
And if you turn it over, then the other older guy's like, hey, if you can't hang, get off.
Legit. No, it's legit. And I feel like that... I don't know. I feel like that helps. I'm not trying to badmouth sports. I think sports have gotten out of control.
No, I agree.
All the way
that's
across
why
the board. I apologize for taking a shot at baseball.
No, I did.
It was a low blow
because I think that it's something that all varsity sports
Because you could look at soccer. Soccer plays indoor all year. They do summer. Sport. They do, You
got indoor track. I mean, it's every sport.
Yeah, indoor track now.
Yeah, no. So like, I don't know. Do you think it makes better athletes?
I think that it takes away from some of the most favorite things or my favorite memories from my childhood. That's the one thing that I don't.
Do you think it makes better athletes?
It depends on the kid, I think. It has to. That's a cop-out answer, but I think it totally depends on the kid. Some kids are going to take that and run with it, and they're going to become better because of it. But some kids are
With those kids that become bad. So, like, this is a hard argument. So, like,
yeah, you're right.
With those kids, like, you know, I played basketball with Jared Bays. I can tell you right now, the kid was at the park every single day.
I will tell you that he had his teams in the gym more than any team.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because that's how he worked. But
Bays
like,
is a rat,
they were in the gym. They had like 4 different sessions.
But I'm just telling you, as a player, we didn't have organized stuff. But Jared was at the park every day.
I don't think it's going to make any good players great. I think the great player is going to be great anyway.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to make a lot of average players good.
Okay,
or better.
Right,
or better.
I
don't know if I agree with that.
Anyway, we gotta have some time off in the summer to use Subden's boat that he just bought.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I mean. Like last summer, I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt like we had no time because every single weekend I was at something with 1 or 2 of my kids, and it's like
come on,
you know, like it's.
Don't you live for that though? Because I'm excited for that time.
For the kids, like to go every weekend.
I'm
weird, dude.
What if you don't get to use your tune?
Well, then if it's doing something that Brighton wants to do, I hope she loves sports, right? But maybe it's dance, and I'm gonna have to sit and watch that. You're a dancer, right? And I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna become dance. But I think I'll love it because she'll love it.
So I'm excited.
I felt like Owen liked basketball when they were there running around at way too late at night, hanging. He had some good memories too.
He had fun. Like I'm not gonna. But we gave him a choice. Yeah. And he chose
to go to the other thing. Yeah.
And once he started, I'm going to tell you, there were weekends when he did not want to go.
Right.
I said, you started it, you're going to finish it, right? Mm-hmm. I might be weird. I'm not like tomorrow. I'm looking forward to going watching my kids play basketball. I love it.
Yeah. Right.
But there's also too much, and I will tell you that like. There's got to be time for your family too.
Yeah.
And there's got to be time. There's other things other than sports and activities. It's okay for kids to be bored. It's okay for kids to have to figure that stuff out.
And I'm horrible with that.
Yeah, it's character building. It's, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We got in some deep stuff. Right?
We did. We didn't cover like half the stuff I wanted to.
That's all right.
We'll just have to have another podcast sometime.
Christian can come back. That's
absolutely.
Fine. After Name It comes next week, right?
That's fair.
Who?
Name It. Drew Namick's coming next week.
Cool. You're gonna have to tilt that thing up.
Yeah, definitely.
I understand.
Yeah. Did you play against you were
you were 10. He was like he might have been like 5.
Oh yeah, he was closer to me than you, huh?
I think he played against I know he played against Bud.
No, he wasn't.
He played against Bud?
Yeah.
I remember by the way, Bud, that guy's slick, man. Like, and I'm sorry, Bud. I wasn't trying to if you're listening, I wasn't trying to knock on hardwood.
We knocked on a lot
I love
of
what he's
today.
doing. I really enjoyed it. I really did overall.
It's just a lot.
It's just a lot. And sometimes I think it's what you say no to, not what you say yes to, that really defines how you do it. So
I felt like some of the kids got better playing with the hardwood. I think that Paul Olsen gained some well-needed confidence.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that Dave didn't give him confidence, because I would have conversations with Dave about, let's get him confidence. And I thought by the end, we drew up the play to get him a game.
Yeah, and he finished it.
And he finished it.
Yeah,
we won the tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think it did good for some kids.
I would flip back and I would say that getting in the gym and practicing and being really skilled. Larry Bird had a really good quote about not playing against competition. And he talked about how when he came up, he didn't play at a big school. He didn't play at a big high school, but he practiced. And he was confident and had no problem at the next level because he was so skilled.
Yeah, there's times we'd have one practice before a giant, a national tournament, and that's tough, but it was because I was not. Yeah, I wasn't going to say, you're not going to miss.
Yeah, you want to go on the boat.
Baseball practice? No, because I didn't want to make them miss baseball
practice.
Or
you're
track,
bumping into
or golf. I think.
Golf. Owens and golf.
It's just hard. Same way. All right, we got to wrap it up. Way over time.
All right.
Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
coming
Christian. It was great.
Special thank you to our sponsors, Shepherd & Shepherd, Van Dyke Mortgage, and North Grove Brewers. Couldn't do what we do without you guys. Appreciate you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.